Coming up on the program today, we're going to start one more thing indoors, and that's okra. It's not really recommended, but I'll show you what we're going to do.
If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. We're going to start okra indoors. Now, based on what you see online and in books, okra is a plant that it's not really recommended to start indoors, though you can do it in certain parameters and techniques, such as deep-celled trays. You want to start okra about 4 to 6 weeks before your last average frost date. Now, where we're at here in southeast Wisconsin, our last average frost date is approximately April 29th, coming up very, very quickly. However, because we do not typically plant okra in the ground until early June, we can go ahead and do this because that gives us about a 4 to 5 week period. Now again, that last average frost date doesn't mean if tomorrow is your last average frost date, you can go ahead and put stuff in the ground. It all determines on forecast and soil temperature. The soil temperature for okra is best at 65 degrees. So we've got time. That's about the same temperature that it would be for putting peppers in the ground. So that typically happens for us on a good year, Memorial Day weekend. On a bad year, the first to second week in June, because we need that soil temperature to be warm. So these plants, even though they're hardened off, they're just going to sit there. These are tropical plants. Now, okra will take 2 to 12 days to germinate. And we've done something here to accelerate the germination. We have soaked it in milk for about 12 hours. The lactic acid in the milk will help eat away from that very hard seed coating that okra is known to have. And that will accelerate and maybe get that germination to that 2 to 4 day range rather than the 12-day range that can be on the long end of that. And that way we can get a full 30 days of germination and growth. Now, when you plant your okra outside, you want to do it in a bottomless container or in the ground or a raised bed with no bottom because they have a very long taproot. We've pulled plants out of the ground that had 19-inch taproot. That's why it's a little more fidgety to get these planted indoors because that taproot can extend. So the first thing we're going to do, I've got a root maker seed tray here that's got a normal, decent size well here or cell here. And you could do this in a 1 gallon or 2 gallon grow bag indoors and then take it outside, remove them, and put them in the ground. So what we'll do here is the first thing we need to do is drain the milk off the container. So I'm just taking a lid, and these are party cups so it doesn't seal very good, and I can just drain this milk into the container. Now, milk contains calcium, which is good for your soil. However, don't dump this in your containers indoors because it's going to cause some smell. So take it outside and do such. Now, I've got quite a few, I've got 3 types of seed, 3 okra groupings here, 2 varieties. I've got long pod Perkin okra. I've got Clemson spineless okra. Then I've got Clemson spineless okra that I have saved from seeds from 2017. So we've got all of these identified, and we'll plant them in a row. Now I'm going to put 2 plants or 2 seeds per cell. And then I will just take a scissors and snip the one off that's the smaller of the 2. And then at the time of transplanting, we'll just remove them completely out of the cell and then put them in the ground. Okra is one of these plants that can be grown anywhere. Typically, it's known to be grown in the southern portions of the United States because it's hot and okra loves the heat. However, here in Zone 5A, we've had very good success with growing okra in southeast Wisconsin. Now, the plants do not get 12 or 13 or however big they get in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. However, we do get them 4 or 5 feet tall and do produce very nice and prolific pods. So just because you're in the north doesn't mean you cannot grow okra. You can do it very successfully. We're doing it this way, starting seeds for the very first time. We typically will just put the seed directly in the ground and then grow it there. But we want to get a jump start on our seeds this year. So these seeds are little round, looks like ball bearings, essentially, is what they kind of look like. So this is the Perkin pod, and I'm just going to take And the way you should plant any seeds in a tray of multiple quantities is offset them. Don't put them both in the center. Put one on each side and then cover them up, and we'll do that all the way through each cell here. Now the rest of these cells, I've got transplant of tomatoes that I'm going to move over, because still we're not going to plant those for another 3 weeks to 4 weeks, so I can get them in their individual cells, because some of them are 2 or 3 in a cup, so I'll move them over. Okay, and then once these germinate, we don't have to have the Happy Leaf LED grow light on them right away, but once they germinate, you want to get a light on them. If it's tube light, right on it based on the light recommendations, or get them by a window and keep them from getting legginess. So okra in the north, it can be done. You can do it direct sowing. You can do it seed starting. Okra will take about 55 to 60 days to get to that state when it begins to put pods on. It's related to the hibiscus plant. Beautiful flower. And whenever those pods begin to form, you want to begin to harvest them almost on a daily consistency, because they are best when they're tender. You can also dehydrate them if you do not like that slimy consistency. That removes that slimy consistency, and you can utilize those okra pods in soup, stews, whatever, in that aspect of it. So okra, not a southern plant, but a northern plant, and this is how we're going to get a jump start on getting bigger plants this year.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.